welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Change. I'm joined tonight with no other than Miss AVG herself, guys. So, how are you tonight, Miss A?
I think I'm having a little bit of technical troubles. I don't like the way my screen is looking, David, but it's something I can't do anything about. So let's just roll.
Yes. All right. So, I must ask you before I know we have a big topic set tonight. Before we go that, I ask. I know you have been on the ground recently. How has that been going so far?
Hi again, David. I want
Hi.
to take.
Hi. Are you hearing me?
Not hearing you.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was asking. I know you've been on the ground recently, so I was asking how has it so far.
Every day is interesting. Every day is a great motivation for us to go on. Our team, we are all over Belmopan actually. I myself am campaigning this week in Central Belmopan and San Martin. And we are having a real good time. My team and I, we are listening to the voters. We are hearing their concerns. We have had the sentiment from many of our residents in Belmopan on a whole, but particularly voters who are saying that they're very disappointed. Um, they are looking forward for change. Some of them said that they would not have been voting, but now they're considering going to the polls. So that's very encouraging. We are having a very successful campaign. We are organized. We are on the ground using as much precautions as we can during this pandemic. And so we are having a good time, David. But I want to say a special good night to all of Belmopan, Belize, and those listening near and far, because we do have supporters and people who have been supporting this campaign tremendously all the way in the US and beyond, especially those in the Belize diaspora in Los Angeles, California. And we want to say thank you guys. We have you in our hearts, in our mind, and we are working hard to ensure that your support is on the ground here and making a difference in our community.
All right. Excellent. And I know as well, you guys, I know that your campaign has been involved in a lot of community service. And I know last time we did the one with the shed and San Martin, but I know we have another one planned for this weekend. So could you tell me a little bit about that?
Right, David. So I want to invite the people of Las Flores to come out on Saturday at the park in Las Flores. What our team will be doing is a renovation of the park. And so if you pass the park today or any time during the recent times, you would notice the park is badly in need of just basic things: cleaning, trimming, refurbishing. The chairs, their benches needs to be replaced or put in there if there wasn't any. Um, it's not being kept, and so our team decided we want to go in there. We want to work with the people in Las Flores, and we want to be engaged because that's what we do. We do community service inside and outside of politics.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. So for tonight, Miss Anna, we're going to be diving into some very important topics, and I know we have been. The topic for tonight has to do with education. It has to do with family, and those are two main topics on your manifesto. And I want us to break those down for tonight. All right. And so I want everybody to know if you have any questions, you could go ahead and send your questions to us so that we can answer those for you. Okay. And so let's start with education. Before we even jump into that, I want to show a section from the manifesto launch. If you have seen it on Facebook or when it was aired on Channel 7 or Plus TV or all those, but we're going to show the section on manifesto and then we're going to dive into a couple questions about this. Okay.
Good quality, affordable education is essential for the growth of a community. Anna Banerjee stands behind these values and has been championing education for years. For years, she has successfully educated both youth and adults, from reading and writing English as a second language, to training in customer service, civic pride, entrepreneurship, personal financing, and many more. She also understands the need for a place for non-traditional students to master a skill or trade, and therefore, she plans to lobby for the development of a vocational training center here in Belmopan.
All right, so excellent. So I have a couple questions here for you, Miss Guy. And I want to start with question number one, right? Uh, the point about championing affordable and quality education. What are some things you would advocate for if elected as your representative when it comes to the terms of affordable and quality education?
All right, David. So although our country have seen significant strides in terms of education on a national platform, we still many of our students, many of our youth age, many of our student uh, primary school and high school age students are exempted because they cannot afford it. Their families cannot afford it. So we see the most marginalized families, the students that are most vulnerable, are the ones that are being left behind. And this continues to happen. And this is something that we cannot ignore as leaders in our community. We cannot ignore this anymore. This is something that affects our society. It affects our communities. If we have children out of school at our school age, then obviously that is going to trickle down into so many different other social implications and issues that our community will continue to face. We as a country, we're not lacking in terms of legislations, in terms of supporting documents, in terms of many documented initiatives. And I think what we are lacking is political will to get these things off paper and on the ground so that it becomes effective to where it matters the most. So we have a group of people in our country who continues to be able to access education because they can afford it. And then we have another group of people who continue to experience a lack and exemption from our education system. These are issues that I personally, as a leader, take very seriously. These are issues that Belmopan residents are concerned about because Belmopan was created as the administrative capital. We house the embassies. International agencies operate from Belmopan. Our country's only national university operates from outside of Belmopan. Education in Belmopan should be taken much more seriously than it currently is.
Okay. And I know you have been for years championing trade and trade development and skills. So what's your plan when it comes to that?
Well, David, there's although our education system talks about the quality, child-friendly, safe haven for our children to be in school, we rarely need to look at education, especially now that our eyes have been we have been exposed to so many lack during this pandemic, and so this is an opportunity for educators and those championing education in our country to look at the deficiencies and also look at how we can capitalize on the resources that we have, our people and our land. And so our education system definitely needs to look into taking certain areas more seriously in terms of including including more non-traditional aspects of education within our curriculum. I'm talking about agriculture, for example, talking about technology. We have all our government offices have access to internet and that is readily available. We have internet services throughout our country, but we do not have this service within our classroom, within our educational system, readily available that students can access. We are living in a different era than from when I went to school. Our classroom cannot have the same outputs as then, because obviously then we would not be coping with the world we're living in today. So that's an additional challenge for our students, and those are areas that I feel any leader need to look at in order to progress, in order to have our this generation move towards a more technological um, era, and the opportunities are lacking there in terms of that being included within our educational system. That is exposed now more with COVID-19, but that is something that needed to have been addressed long ago. Um, Vocational and technical trade um, is lacking. Belmopan is one of the country's fastest growing municipalities. We have been saying this, but it is because it's alarming how a leader does not see a population growth as an opportunity. I believe a population growth is always an opportunity. You want to captivate people to be in your community because people are builders. So one of the things that I know comes with a population growth is diversity. And we cannot have the same old traditional education without expanding on that in any form, way, shape, or form that students can access easily. So when it comes to a vocational trade school or accessing vocational training, that is something that our young people in Belmopan are desperately in need of.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I want to jump to our second point, your second question. Um, at this point, in the manifesto, you are addressing our literacy and numeracy challenges in our constituency, and I'm aware of some work you have done before in some literacy training for some adults that didn't know to speak or write English. And so, what is your plans? What has your work been like before with that, and what are your plans for the future if elected as your
Maybe
representative?
yeah, sometimes when we look at the issues we face and we document these issues and we talk about them, it would seem to others listening that, wow, but how is that going to happen? How are you going to get these things accomplished? And a lot of times there are many people, there are many organizations, there are current organizations locally, nationally, regionally, internationally, that want to partner to see these things happen. And so, for example, we partner with the UK, British High Commission to Belize, to carry out literacy, numeracy, and English as a second language to the people in the periphery Maya Mopan community. And that happened about a year ago. It, it was amazing to see that housewives who were intimidated to go to the store to take a grocery list to shop because of some of the restrictions, not being able to relate, and not being able to feel that they not having the confidence because of a simple act that could have been addressed many years ago. I'm talking about housewives and women who have raised an entire family in this community without a leader saying, hey, how can we partner with you? How can we partner with you to assist you? You have been living in our community. Regardless of where you're from, regardless of your background, you are now a part of our community. Let us embrace this family and see how we can support this family. And so those things are things we have people within the same community that partner with us to carry out these sessions, to ensure that these ladies and even some gentlemen, some men and women were a part of the English as a second language and it's something that we really looked at very closely, that we can bring this to them at a level that they can understand, at a level that they feel comfortable to sit with us and to learn. So it's not impossible. Nothing I'm talking about is impossible. It just takes leadership that have a heart for the people, and and has the ability to network, partner, and inclusivity, include the community. The people want to make a difference in their community. Actually, for that particular program that you mentioned, David, we had people that felt so good that they're living in the Mayamopan area, and they had the opportunity to get an education, and they feel good that they can come back and share that with their people for an hour, maybe twice a week. And after the program is finished, you have graduates from the program that are now able and skilled to do things, simple things that they were prevented from doing most of their lives.
Excellent. Excellent. And we are about halfway through here. And before we get into our next topic, I will just take a quick break and we'll be right back to more Let's Talk About Change. So stay tuned.
Who we are vote for? Tell me who we are vote for. ABG we are vote for. One time, yeah. One vote can change our lives, yeah. It's that time again. We need some change for the children and all of you. Some change we need, my friend. You and you need to vote. We need to vote for change the right way. This life we live in, this society is not right yet. Entrepreneurship training for the youth, them to own our business. Education, job training, skills to application, we get this. ABG is here to show the way, and we know we see this. From long time, they did help the youths, and everybody know this. ABG, trying to fight for all our way. And in this time, life's so hard, we need somebody to fight for we. Life's too hard, and life is due, and everybody needs a way. So make sure you vote for ABG so she can pave the way. Who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. So who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. Who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. Long time we for vote for ABG, ABG, ABG. It's that time again. It's that time again. It's that time again. So who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. Who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. Who we are vote for? ABG, ABG, ABG. We need change. Women that bring change. 2020 is the year for change. ABG all the way.
She got this.
All right, and welcome back. Welcome back to our sixth episode of Let's Talk About Change, right? And so we just addressed some very important points in our education topic. And we're going to jump right into our family topic, and we have several questions for that topic. And remember, if you guys have questions, you could put them in the comment section so we could address those questions, right? And so again, like we did for the education section, I want to bring up a short video clip or the section that we had about education in our official manifesto launch. And so from there, then we'll go to the questions, right?
Being a mother, grandmother, and wife, Anna knows the importance of strong family values and that strong families produce strong communities. She is adamant about ending all forms of abuse and violence in our society. She has been working for years through interventions to lower the rate of drug and alcohol abuse, armed violence, and bringing awareness to mental health. She aims to make counseling for these issues readily available to the public.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Sana, I have our first question that I want to ask you. I see you have several points in the family section about addressing gender-based violence, right? And you had several points about counseling and short-term housing. But how important do you think it is to address gender-based violence in our community, in our constituency?
David, I think it's extremely important. Gender-based violence affects our families. It trickles into other levels of family violence, which affects our children in particular, and their ability to learn and to be productive and to grow the way a child should. So gender-based violence is something that it alarms me really, and it frightens me the way our leaders shy away from it, ignore it, pretend it's not happening, even though it is right in front of our eyes. We have seen recent examples. No need to research when it comes to gender-based violence and how it is playing out in our country. It is something that should worry all of us. I am very concerned about it because if leadership at the highest level refuses to look at the severity of this issue that we face in Belize, then it it concerns me of how we will effect change. One of the things that we definitely need to look at as a community, working at the community level here in Belmopan, is how we can initiate programs and initiative that will create awareness, that will educate even young children. How do you know when you're experiencing gender-based violence, and ways how to cope with when you're in that situation, and most importantly, alternative ways. Alternative how do you get help? Where do you go to get help? Victims of gender-based, to all victims of gender-based violence in Belmopan, I don't know of an answer for them. I really don't have a space that I can say this is where you go if you're a victim of gender-based violence. There is a space here for you. There is a program here that welcomes you. The leader has this program in place or that program in place. It's missing. It's missing. It's not important. That's why it's missing. It's not important to our current leaders. But it is important to me, David. Very important to me because, as I said earlier, it affects our families. It is also an issue that we need to look at the root causes. The society we live in, these cultural and structural and institutional barriers that women faces, is really breeding ground for gender-based violence, and it continues to occur. We if elected, this is going to be something that you will definitely, along with the rest of Belmopan, see some strong initiatives and advocacy going towards gender-based violence. As I said it before, it impacts our families, our children. How can our children learn and grow in an environment where they're victims of violence repeatedly without any consequences to perpetrators?
Okay, great. And I noticed you had another point, and I know this was one that stood out to me. But you mentioned about lobbying for a nursing home for the elderly citizens here of Belmopan. Can you tell us the importance of this? The importance of having a nursing home here in Belmopan?
Well, David, I remember sitting with Mr. Evan Dakers, who is a gentleman that I have known personally for many years and professionally also in Belmopan. He is the chair and the director for the health page in Belmopan, the Hazel Hutchinson Center, which is the facility that is created in this community to serve the seniors. And he's a man with vision, and most of all, he's a man with a heart. What he needs is, for his work to be more accomplished, is a leader that is going to partner with him to ensure that the facility is upgraded to where the seniors have access to services that they really need, that goes beyond opening the center for twice a week for entertainment, which is good and great. The seniors have a place to go twice a week outside of this pandemic. And I know the facility. I personally volunteered at the facility before. I personally sit in a few of their meetings before planning. Um, the the people working and volunteering at that facility have a heart for the work that they do, and it's a shame that they don't get the support that their work can advance. And so the building is there and the services is stagnant. And so I am hoping to partner with that institution and that organization and that group of people that have been working for years in Belmopan to have that facility up to where seniors would be able to access adequate services and they would not have to be shut in without being properly cared for. We have seniors living in Belmopan that there is no one to care for them. Unfortunately, they're not living with their family member. They're unless a neighbor or someone, and I witnessed this on my campaign, David, it pains my heart. And I didn't go in because it's COVID-19, but the lady was shut in and she really needed some assistance. And I went to the home at the same time campaigning. And this is just one example. There is no supporting services for our seniors that is going to adequately meet the needs of those who are desperate. They have served this community. They have worked and lived in Belmopan all their life. And now they need the community now to come back and assist them with basic services. I'm talking about health, talking about supplying their immediate needs. We need to improve in programs for our seniors. These are valuable part of our society. Imagine you work hard and you contribute and you become a senior and then the community turns its back on you. And so thank God in Belmopan, we have people in our community that really look out for each other. And so neighbors care for the other person, but sometimes our schedule gets busy and we cannot always meet the needs of our neighbors. But I have seen in Belmopan where we have a lot of people caring for each other in areas, overextending themselves in areas where our leader could really do more.
Great. So we have a question here. This is, let's read it here. So it says, how do you see the legal migrants from Central America integrating into the formal sector in your area and having access to the programs for the regular John and Jane public citizen? And what can be done to take control of the illegal migrants? These are families that are putting a strain on our social system.
All right. So David, I think that integration, I think immigration actually is something that every society and every city and every country will experience. We migrate, we have people migrating, we have people coming in legally and illegally. It's very important that the government have a structured system in its immigration department that is going to speak to these issues and that is going to deter illegal migration into our country. God knows we don't have enough for ourselves here in Belize in terms of services and supplies. So to encourage illegal immigration, and by encouraging, I mean not doing what we need to do to stop it, that is something that I think definitely needs to be up. We need to be more vigilant. We need to be more protective of our borders, our country, our services, our facility, our education. In our country, that our children, as it is, that are legal and born here, sometimes lack basic services. So we're not in a position to encourage illegal immigration. Now, for the legal immigrants and those who have been living here for a long period of time and have made Belize, and in particularly Belmopan, their home, it is very important that leadership move into looking at how important it is that we have some kind of synergy that is going to speak to integration. I don't believe in living in a community where certain sectors are marginalized, where people are labeled and put aside and called names. And I don't think that is going to be good or a healthy way for any society to grow and live and develop. Actually, those kinds of behavior really impacts our community negatively. This is when we see people who lack opportunities and who are marginalized and victimized and treated as outcasts. Then we see a rise in crime. We see so many different negative things coming from those communities that are being marginalized. And so this actually, that personally and professionally, that is one of the things that I do. I advocate for the most marginalized and the most vulnerable populations of people.
Excellent. And I know we're running out of time here, but this question or addition to that question came in, and I know it touches one of the point that we wanted to address. And so I guess this will be one of our last question. But what is your partner? What do you think about equitable land distribution?
David, equitable land distribution is on my manifesto. We're not talking about that tonight, but that's definitely an issue that's dear to my heart. I can give examples of why it's so important to me. We have young professionals, for example, in our organization, B. And so we had put together a few years ago applications for all of them. We said, let's have this group apply on behalf, have an application go out on behalf of our group members of the executive board. Why? We stated in the letter of application that these young professionals living in Belmopan they're employed, they're renting their homes, and they have contributed significantly to Belmopan, and they're ready to build. They want to access land. They're ready to be a homeowner. And so because, and this is very important, it's not petty, it is important because these are the things that we need to bring out to the light, and also to know how important it is that we have leaders who are going to ensure that there's some equitable distribution and to our most valuable natural resource, our land that our people need. So going back to that, so because land is being distributed in Belmopan through Recondev and under the direction of the area representative, and he had personal issues with my role as a leader in the community, so none of these young people accessed land and have accessed land through those applications. We applied tirelessly. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened. The application just went on deaf ears. So what I'm trying to say is that there's not a land committee in Belmopan that is going to look at how land will be distributed, how land will be how the lands will be used in Belmopan, how they will be developed, what areas would be subdivided, who are the people that would be most priority to access these, and why. And so I don't think that one person should be in charge of what lands are being distributed, what lands are being sold, what land is being awarded to who, or in the case of Belmopan, raffled in some instances. I think that is reckless management of prime resource. And I feel that a land committee with qualified people that represent all of Belmopan should be the persons that would be making decisions and giving suggestions as the whole land should be distributed within our community.
Okay. Right. Excellent. And so we are totally out of time. join us next week when we tackle two other topics from both of the manifesto. And I'd like to let you guys know if you are interested in partnering with our campaign, you can do so. You could support our campaign. And also, I just want to make an announcement that we have a fundraiser coming up on August 16th, 2020. This will be another food fundraiser. And
August, David, August? Shouldn't this be October?
oh, you're right. That's October. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's October 16, guys, not August. Apologies. That is next week, Friday. And the
So could you
menu.
take that down real quick from the screen, please? Thank you.
Yeah. So it's October 16, 2020, and the menu is going to be yellow vegetable rice with baked chicken and a dessert, right? And you get your salad and your onion sauce. And so if you want to partner with us and you don't know how to partner with this campaign, this is a way you could support us by donating to that fundraiser or also just purchasing from that fundraiser, right? And so with that, we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend, and have a blessed night. Good night.
Thank you, David. Good night, everyone. Thanks. Thanks for listening and thanks for tuning in. Bye.